This is Manuel Medina from TG Sports and TG Sports USA. I wanted to ask you two questions. The first one it will be about Bayern Munich. Do you believe that this dominance that the team has in the Bundesliga does it actually hurt the other teams and even Bayern itself? Because when they go and compete in Europe, you know this is not new. This is not from this year. But when they go and compete in Europe, they have a really bad time. So I just wanted your opinion on that.
Yeah, I mean, Manuel, you have a good point. You need high competition in your championship, in your country, the domestic championship, in order to be best prepared for the Champions League. And so we all hope, from a neutral perspective that, Dortmund, Leverkusen, Leipzig, these teams give as much trouble to Bayern Munich as possible, not making it easy. I mean, last year it was more Dortmund losing it than Bayern actually winning it. So we're getting closer, so we need that drama as well. But also we need that drama that it's very competitive, as you said, for the benefit for Bayern Munich than competing in Europe. Because if it's too easy in your country and then you face suddenly Manchester City or Real Madrid or Barcelona or, these huge clubs, then you might not be best prepared for them because it's been too easy for you in a domestic competition. But this year it looks quite exciting. I think Dortmund is right there. Leverkusen at the moment is right there. Leipzig too. We have one surprise team with Stuttgart, my old team where I grew up, basically, doing well, but I don't expect them to stay up there. I think sooner or later they kind of will drop a bit, but if they could stay in the top 6 or 8, that would be fantastic for that club, because they struggled the last couple of years with relegation mostly. But Bayern Munich needs that competition. They need a very strong Bundesliga in order to be prepared for the Champions League. Their ultimate goal at Bayern Munich is always to win the Champions League. That's what they're hungry for. That's what the fans want in Munich, and I think they have a roster together now with a fantastic, one of the best strikers in the world with Harry Kane up front, and a fantastic center back, Kim Min-jae, that comes from Korea. So they are well prepared. They are well prepared for the Champions League fight. They won all games so far. But when you're talking about the final 8 teams in the European Champions League, that's where everybody can beat everybody.
And my second question, I wanted to ask you about, Antonio already asked you about the Colombians. I'm going to ask you about the Americans and about the Mexicans. I think you must be very proud to see so many Americans playing now in the Bundesliga because of the high level of competition that they have. But I also wanted to ask you, when do you see Mexicans coming back? Some play in your club in Stuttgart, and but there's a lot of there's some Mexicans who are going to different teams, especially in the Netherlands, in England. So the language barrier, I don't think it's a problem for the Mexicans, right? But what's happening? Why is there no more Mexicans in the Bundesliga? Thank you.
I think there's always interest for the Mexican players in the Bundesliga and in all the leagues in Europe. They constantly scout the young players. So every under 20, under 18 national team is under observation of all Bundesliga teams, of all the European teams. So if you have special players coming through the ranks in Mexico, in their youth national teams, they are observed. They've been watched. I'm extremely happy for so many American kids, jumped over the basically ocean in a certain way and threw themselves into the cold water and to prove their points, because in order to become a very successful national team, you need to have your best players in the top leagues in Europe. You need, and it's the same with the South American teams. If you want to have a successful Colombian team, successful Chilean team, or obviously besides of Argentina and Brazil, you need to have your best players in Europe, because you need to have that experience to play the best players in the world week in, week out. Now we have an American national team that the majority is all in Europe, and playing not only for European clubs, normal clubs. They play also for Champions League teams. They play for teams that are in the top 5 in their respective leagues, and that has been changed over the years. And I always when I was in the middle of working with the national team for the 5.5 years I had the honor to do that, I always told them, give it a shot, give it a try. If it doesn't work out, it's no problem. You can always come back to MLS. You can always come back to Liga MX. It's not a problem if it doesn't work out. But if you get the opportunity to prove your point in Europe, you got to do it. You got to do it to yourself. And now I see these players all over Europe, and it makes me smile. It makes me feel good, and that prepares them for the national team on the international level, because the next World Cup will be in Mexico and Canada and the United States. You will benefit from that in that World Cup, because now when all the other national teams coming into play against you in the next World Cup, you are familiar with them. It's not that you see them the first time. You have seen them throughout the year a couple of times, so you're not worried about them anymore. But if you don't play them in their club environment at all, because you're not making that jump over there in the best leagues in Europe, then you see those top players the first time in the World Cup, and you might be a bit scared. Because you said, I don't know, haven't played against Jude Bellingham yet, or Harry Kane, or Musiala. So they're damn good players. But if you see them week in, week out, no problem.